Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the JulesTheHuman Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and then we come back here and talk about it. And today is going to be the last time we're talking about Code Geass, lelouch v Britannia. I think that's how you say it. But we're going to be talking about episode 9 through 12 of the lelouch anime Code Geass. Super excited to talk to you about it today because we also get to pick a brand new anime. If this is the first time that you're watching, hello everybody, live on Twitch and on YouTube for the first time. We are streaming this live on YouTube. But we finish an anime, we go through about 12 episodes, 12 to 15 episodes or so of the anime, and then we get to pick a brand new one. So these are the anime that are in the chest right now, and we'll be picking one of these to be our personality for the next couple of weeks.
Oh,
The way that
boy.
you can get an anime on the show and possibly picked by us is by donating 500 bits. You do 500 bits on Twitch, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can do a $5 super chat. $5 super chat or 500 bits on Twitch, and you can submit an anime and it'll be put up there. Nothing too crazy, but some anime that is good for most ages. How about that? I don't go on this this anime journey alone because I am also here with my co-host Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to once again talk about Code Geass. Really a lot of stuff that in these 4 episodes that make it feel like it comes full circle for me in terms of it being like a good introduction to the show, whereas by the end of this 12th episode I really think somebody would definitively know whether or not they're going to enjoy the next 38 episodes.
Sure. Because there is a season 2. I saw in season 1 it's like
2
25
seasons, each 25.
Yeah, and I'm on the fence. We'll talk about it
We'll get into
because it is an interesting anime to say the least. There's a lot going on, but we definitely got to get into it and talk about it. Thank you so much for watching live. Appreciate it. You can watch these on Spotify, and later, if you miss any of it, you can watch it on YouTube as well. What's up, Duke of Donuts? So happy to be able to catch today's stream as I'm off work with the nasty boo boo. Oh no, what happened? Are you okay? Hope you're okay. Hope you didn't fall off a ladder. First thing that I thought of. Fall into your nightmare. Episode 9, Refrain. What happens in Code Geass episode 9, Refrain?
Colin and lelouch begin to struggle balancing their double lives. Princess Cornelia continues her crusade in cleansing Area 11 for Princess Euphemia. The student council spend time with each other, recounting their appreciation for being able to come back together after the hostage situation. The Black Knights continue to gain public support, with Zero continuing to remain a leader shrouded in mystery. Millie visits Colin's estate, where Colin confides her family's secrets to Millie, and lelouch provokes Susaku into a clash of ideals. Valletta and Jeremiah both refuse to accept their fragmented memories, and the Black Knights raid a refrain den, finding Colin's mother amidst the affected, where Colin realizes the true reason her mother stayed behind as a servant after the Britannian occupation occurred.
So this was really interesting because I keep wanting to call her Callan. Colin. Keep saying Callan. We get a lot of Colin backstory. Well, not a whole lot of backstory, but like a lot about her character and where she's coming from. And I think that's really interesting. They do it now in episode 9, which is fine because now I feel like she is becoming more of a main character, a mainstay,
More
and
of a piece on the board.
More of a piece on the chessboard, and because of what comes later, because this feels good now. Whereas, you know how we talked about different anime where it's like, okay, this is a little bit too much, too late. I didn't need this late in the game. They should put it in the beginning. I'm fine where they're putting this because now I do feel this emotional support for Callan, and I do feel feelings for the things she goes through in the next couple episodes. And her overcoming that and becoming the, what would I say? I guess she would be like a knight on the chessboard if you were to look at it on a chessboard. Like she feels like a knight.
Big moves, honestly. She's a very, there's like as the show goes on, we kind of see the board develop and more pieces be, applied to the board, and she's a very a very integral part of the Black Knights in both their offensive and defensive schemes in the series moving forward.
And it feels good. I like this character. I like this character so far. I didn't so much like her in the beginning of this episode, but to be honest, because she's talking about her mother, we didn't know the mother. Well, it kind of implied that there was some connection between there because they kept looking at each other. Uh, but I didn't know that it was going to be her real mother. She says that she's depressed by her mother, depressed looking at her, and her father is the one that owns the house. And it's alluding to her mother using this refrain drug that we've heard about, and now we get like a firsthand look at what refrain is, and they explain it as well. Refrain is a drug that makes you think you've gone back to the past, which is now we know targeted at people from
The
Tokyo,
Japanese.
the Japanese.
And it probably would be like it probably is targeted at any number in their coinciding area. It's probably not just area 11 that this drug is in with the world as it's implied.
And can we infer that it's Britannian made? That it's there for them to use and abuse the numbers?
It's definitely organized groups, like crime groups. As we see the Black Knights, they go around kind of like busting some groups, and they're kind of almost looked at. They start to be looked at as this like paramilitary, like police-ish force, where they're just doing the dirty work for the police and stuff along those lines.
Sure. The Duke of Donut says, answering a question. So I was picking up my mail, a copy of Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Step off an obnoxiously low curb to get into my mom's car, the door to which is fairly high off the ground. I had to get in at an awkward angle, so I'm quite tall, and have to crane my neck to fit well. So I'm stretching my leg to reach and craning my neck. My foot slips, and in one painful infinitesimal second, my kneecap pops off and then pops back in. Next thing I know, ass on the ground. I hope you comically were in the air for a second, and it was great. If anybody's watching. That was a week ago, but I'm doing good. Still walking. Sorry for the novel. Thanks for asking it. No worries. No, for sure. I definitely want to make sure you're good.
Oops.
I thought you were like sick or something, but that is infinitely worse. Busting your ass. So
Colin's character development.
yeah, Collins. Well, we also get a lot of Black Knight. Black Knight's taking the world by storm, becoming this symbol of something. We see,
we see civilians and cosplaying as Zero on the construction site. We see little kids running around with black capes and such. But then we also see the opposite end where the parents of said kids are like, you have to remember like what's going on right now. Like we're not supposed to speak out against these people. And then you also get the Britannians that are picking on the 11 that's running the hot dog cart, and lelouch making the very valid point like, hey, we can't get involved because if we do, he's not going to be able to sell hot dogs tomorrow.
And it's a good point, because I mean, we see the differences in how Colin thinks and lelouch's long-term thinking, because Colin wants to immediately immediately change the right now, what's happening here, a single-minded, I need to help this person because they are downtrodden. And lelouch is definitely thinking in a chess play, well, if we do that, then this, if we do this, then this, and ultimately helping him will ruin his greater thing. And while it hurts to see him like that right now, it'll be fine in the long run, which is so much in such a small scene that I love it, because it does show the two characters how they think and how Zero is a step above the others. Shout out to Dan. Thank you so much, Average Spore, for 42 months here on Twitch. I appreciate the lights went off. I don't have the little thingies here on the stream, but thank you so much for 42 months. I appreciate it. Thank you for the continued support. You're great. Thank you. We see the bad guys. We see a lot of the Britannians sort of, I think it was Jeremiah Orange and somebody else. Who was it?
The Letta.
Yeah, these two catching on that it might be a student, that Zero might be a student. He might be in a student uniform. Interesting happenings going on there. They raid the warehouse. Colin's mother is there. And interesting note, Colin's brother is gone. Naoto? We don't know anything about that.
is implied to have used to led the rebellion that Colin and Ogi were a part of, but something happened, leaving Ogi as their pseudo leader until the time where Zero found them.
Yes, and that
The
is
implications.
the implications there. Her mother, her finally realizing what her mother was doing, but it was a little too late, because now in the moment where she realizes it and appreciates who her mother was, why she was there, why she was with, in the same house that treats them so badly, was for her. She gets charged for 20 years and has to go away. And then now Colin has such more motivation to continue, or to change the world when she comes out. And that only reinforces her for what's to come in the next couple episodes. So I loved it. I love this episode, because we got more in-depth, interesting, uh, movement into a character that feels like is going to be there for a while,
Exactly.
um,
What
and
one
fleshing
of
it
the
out.
things, yes. This was one of the first shows to me where it really showcased, you could also compare it to something like Game of Thrones, a multi-factional like story where there are different characters that over the course of time you get to see the layers of them get peeled back, and they become more important and more important to the story until the major plot beats where their ideals are going to ultimately clash against whoever their reverses might be, the people that would seek to oppose their ideals, and how the show decides to handle that as it plays out as you grow more invested in these characters. And that's why over the course of the next 4 episodes, even though there's so much conflict and so much fighting, we don't see any death, but we see, like, I mean, we don't see any death from the main pieces on the board, but we see an overwhelming amount of like development that occurs where you start to just like be able to buy into all of these characters as people and relatable to some capacity, in that you see what they're fighting for and why they're doing the things that they're doing. And
Mhm.
it's not just a bunch of big robots fighting, but we still get a bunch of big robots fighting.
Yeah, I even think that the robot fights aren't even my favorite part. The robot fights are secondary to me. I don't think of it as an action show where in other, anime I would be like, "Yo, this action's great." I would say, if someone's like, "Yo, you saw Code Geass?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, the story's pretty complex. I really enjoy it. It was really cool." So that would probably be my first thing, and then be like, "Oh, there's mechs in there too," and it's like, "Oh, okay, cool." But it's complexity, and the fights are for a greater purpose, and they feel heavy and weighted, and things happen that you're not thinking about, because you're in the
Complex and
mindset.
dynamic.
Yeah, because you're in the mindset of the main character, which sometimes he doesn't know all of the things that are happening, and they don't give those, little side things it's just like, boom, here it is now, and then let's keep going.
Like,
um
let's, like, for instance, we're episode we're gonna finish off on episode 12, and Lelouch and Suzaku still have no idea that it's like each other.
No, and that's great. Keep it that way. I'm fine with that. I love when they face each other and they don't know each other, because that gives us as the viewer so much more,
And I feel like it
because
makes their fight for their ideals that much more weighty, because you know that facade of, like, not facade, but that possibility of them relenting because it's somebody that they know, have history with, have a love for, and then they hold back, but
and
they
every
will not be
time,
holding back.
yes, every time they see each other without seeing each other, it's going to make it more epic and more intense whenever they finally meet and they see that it's the other person that they care for. Episode 10, Gurren dances. What happened in episode 10 of Code Geass?
Lelouch expresses his thoughts on the Black Knights continuing to gain support, with recruits, supplies, and informants growing by the day. Valletta and Jeremiah form an alliance with Dietard, all frustrated at their recent demotions, in an attempt to uncover the identity of Zero. The Black Knights get their hands on a brand new version of a nightmare frame, and with a new recruit leaking information, they head out to the Narita Mountains. Home to the JLF, the Narita Mountains are encircled by Britannian forces after the Black Knights set up at the peak. Seeking to become a messiah by creating a miracle, Zero asks if anybody wishes to mutiny with the bridge burned and their back to the wall. JLF is unable to hold back Britannian forces for long before the Black Knights use their Radiant Wave Surger to create a man-made landslide that would wipe out an entire front of the Britannian forces, then charging downhill in a counterattack. The Gurren Mark II decimates Britannian Sutherlands, and the operation seems to be going according to Zero's plans.
Oh man, this episode, I sometimes in this anime, I completely understand what's happening. Completely, I'm like, okay, I'm on the same page. Here we go. Do this thing. This person's doing this thing. Okay, this kind of makes sense. For some of this episode, like the people in the Black Knights, I didn't know what was going on. There was a lot of talking. There was a lot of like moving chess pieces, but I couldn't see the board yet. I was like, okay. And I saw the moving chess pieces, but I can't see what pieces they are. And I'm like, okay, this guy goes diagonal only. Okay, he went diagonal, but this guy went forward. So does that mean it's the so it was a lot of me just trying to contemplate what's happening. We got some good information that Kyoto is sending the Black Knights nightmares, which is pretty dope. And I was like, okay, they're
including like a
backing
brand new model.
brand new
Yeah.
model, fresh stock. They're backing many resistance groups. They broke into the area, the headquarters, I suppose, of Japanese Liberation Front. And I was like, okay, what's going on? He uses his Geass there. Um, so they're already there and they're doing a lot of stuff without telling us, which I really
Yep.
do find okay. Like I'm okay with that, where the Zero and the Black Knights are in the headquarters. They're like, okay, we're here, we're in the headquarters, we're at the top of the mountain, whatever. And then we flash to the Britannians, and then we're like, we're gonna do this move, but in case Zero comes out from the outside, we're gonna protect that way. And it's like, but he's already inside. And it's
Yep.
like, oh, hold on. Wait a second. What's happening here? So some of it, I was like, I don't know what's going on, especially with the whole things in the ground. It's fine without me knowing. It, I don't know. It like by the end, I'm like, oh, here it is. This is what they were planning and stuff. It's just something to note that sometimes in this anime, I don't know what's going on, but then
Yeah,
it
and
explains
the
it.
show it does eventually explain it. The whole radiant wave surger, like they say it like, so it's kind of like, it's a throwaway line. Oh, it's got that new radiant wave surger, and then at the top of the peak, Lelouch is like, all right, use that radiant wave surger, and Colin uses it, and it's like, what's happening? What's happening? And then the next thing you know, there's just a landslide
Yeah.
happening, and you feel like, I mean, I remember the first time watching it, I like it just kind of really threw this episode did throw me for a loop. And by the time that avalanche was happening and the Black Knights were charging downhill, I was just like leaning back in my chair, hands over my head, because I felt like the show just blew my mind. I was
Mhm.
like, oh my god, like it constantly led me on for a thread where I was like, I don't understand what's happening. But then by the end of the episode, I was like, that all came back
Yes.
and just made sense. And it's crazy that it was able to pull it off.
Hmm.
Um
And it was also interesting what's going on the ground there with the Black Knights and their sort of opposition to Zero, because this sort of has been playing on in the background for a little bit. And even when they're at their headquarters, they're like, well, why do we, what are we doing with you, man? Like, you don't even show us your face. You don't trust us. And why are you in charge? Like,
Constantly
there's
repeated, yep.
these little moments where they're just throwing away lines, but to them, it's like, it's building to something, and I could feel that build to something because
That animosity and resentment.
yeah, and it's real and it's palpable. And even there, Zero had to put his foot down, and the confidence that he spoke, he was like, bro, if you think you can do this, then do it without me. Somebody kill me. Either die, live with me, or die with me. And he has the best, probably out of any main character. I guess I could be reminded about some other animes that we watched on this show, but he has some of the best lines as a main character, as a person in charge. He has some of the best lines in this one, because in this show in general, in the first 12 episodes that we saw, either live with me or die with me. And he gives them a gun. It's like, hey, here we are. What are we doing? Do you think you can survive without me? Then kill me and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
No? All right. Follow my lead. And I'm like,
It's
fuck.
he has such a commanding presence, and again, that's why I just think that the English voice acting really just hits differently with this one, is because at least with Lelouch's voice actor especially, there's just certain lines that he just hits, that those like dramatic pauses. I'm not sure what it is exactly about his delivery, but you feel so compelled by his conviction for his ideals. And
Mhm.
that's what gets me with his character. And
Yes.
opposed to some other characters that we see, who even as they just in the show, where like I mean, we could take Clovis or Cornelia, the his other siblings, they just don't really have that type of presence amidst their peers
No.
that Lelouch has, even though they express their themselves in different lights, like
Because they don't
Cornelia with her
need to.
eagerness for battle, and Euphemia with her empathy.
Yeah, because they don't need to, because they have the power already. They have the established bloodline and all this going for them, where they don't need to have that conviction or make sense or try and convince people. They say something, do it, you're going to do it because they are royalty. Lelouch has to convince these people that he knows what's best and that he is fighting for the right side, and he's doing it so that he can make it better for everybody, but he has his own motives, sort of in the end. The Duke of Donuts says, "Can't believe how picky the Black Knights are. The commander is a faceless, voiceless protagonist, and Bradford and the rest of XCOM follow the commander without question." I
Yeah.
tried playing XCOM Legends, the new mobile game. Didn't like it. Wasn't fun. Not great. Tried it. It was a Gasha game, sort of. Johnny Bosch absolutely shreds this role. His debut speech with the Black Knights at the Hotel Instant gives me chills every single time. Yes, that's what I'm saying. This one and the either live with me or die with me on this episode. Those of you with power, fear us. Those of you without it, rally behind us. We stand in judgment of this world. And it's so good. Like Kaylin was watching with me and she's like,
Theatric.
I got chills. Like
Yeah.
that was intense. So
Yeah.
out of any main character protagonist, out of all the anime that we watch, I think he has the best lines.
I will say the only person in the show that combats him for stage presence so far that we've seen is the Emperor himself,
Yeah, in a different way,
in
for
a different
sure.
way.
I mean, yes,
But the
definitely.
stage presence, I'd say,
Sure.
not compelling,
You can tell they're from the
not
same
compelling.
bloodline.
Yeah, 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 exactly. You could just, it's crazy,
Yeah, for sure.
the apple doesn't fall far, as they say.
Toto is on the way. We see that, and it's a big moment because we have so many moving parts now. The landslide happening. These units are going down. These units are fighting. We need to capture Cornelia. Jeremiah breaks from the group to try and head into Zero for the first time, like going after him.
Which was the whole
Colin
point of
gets
that, like
Jeremiah.
the whole thing, them
Yeah.
leaking information and everything.
And it's all kicking off. And I love this. I love this moment. I love this episode as well. Really good episodes back to back. One, because of Colin's, emotional change and emotional development, but also for the greater picture. We are doing the war bit, even though in the last episode we had some funny dress up into, playing parts as dressing up as animals and stuff, which was just enough school
It
stuff.
was, I think that was just to like kind of bring a moment of levity
Yeah, that's
after the
fine.
fact that some of those characters potentially almost lost their lives.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm okay with that. With that was enough time spent. I'm down. Now we're into the good stuff. And here we are with the fight. And I'm totally about it so far. Charles and Lelouch channeling that theater kid energy for sure. I mean, it's wild that that the most of Britannia follows this man that's telling them that you are born weak and I am born stronger than you. So I will lead you to do what's right.
Um,
Um,
so, like you said, JLF joining the fray, and the landslide, Jeremiah like going out. It's at this point that again it really feels like it goes from being like this more like something like a chessboard that we've seen with the battles in the ghettos with Prince Clovis and Princess Cornelia. Those felt like chess games. Once we get here, like you said, we've gotten to the war bit. This starts to feel like these are full scale conflicts of like battles of attrition, battles of war going on, where there's all of these constant developing variables that are being thrown up in the air. And I remember at this point in my little video gamer life back in the day, at this point, I always preferred playing games where it felt more like boots on the ground and like, I'm just controlling the troop, I'm the guy. But then after watching this show through the course of it, I remember like, this I think I understand why people like playing those like war games where like you're just controlling like blow all these like troops and stuff. And so like that was what prompted me to try out Halo Wars for the first time, actually. And then my strategy gamer life
So this
completely
is
exploded after that.
so Code Geass is the reason why you're the
The
Matt Gala we see
the
today.
battle for Narita is it. This
I didn't
battle is it for
I didn't
me.
know it was
It's
that
that
deep.
deep,
Okay, it
that
just spawned this
ingrained.
whole RTS love here. Halo Wars is also fantastic. Did enjoy Halo Wars. I was going to say all of this dramatic energy would lend itself well to a stage adaptation, and wouldn't you know it, there's a goddamn musical adaptation of Code Geass. Cool. Oh, I also
Believe it.
found a Code Geass mobile game that I haven't started yet, but I did download it. Episode 11, Battle for Narita. What happens in episode 11?
With Cornelia now isolated, the Black Knights begin to work their way towards her. However, Toto and the four holy swords appear from the back line and begin to make their way towards Cornelia as well. With the situation looking grim, Princess Euphemia orders the Lancelot in to rescue Cornelia.
Ooh.
However, Colin had already caught her mid escape. Suzaku uses the Varus to clear a path directly to Cornelia, rescuing her from the Black Knights. The Gurren Mark II is damaged, and Lelouch orders a retreat. However, he is caught out by Suzaku. C2 appears and feeds Suzaku shock images before Lelouch accidentally causes her to also relive through what seems like her own shock imagery. Britannian forces call a retreat, and Suzaku is left in a mental break. Lelouch and C2 showcase their relationship developing past a simple contract.
When Toto came out and he had those nightmares, bro, that squad, oof, they were going in, and I knew the only thing that would take down or stop Zero was Suzaku, and then he asks Yuffie just there, and it's like, bro, please, can I go in? Can you let me? And everybody's like, what are you doing talking to her? But they don't know that they've had a thing, and we
Yeah.
know that they've had a thing before. And she's like, yeah, go for it. And it's like,
So
yeah,
that's what he
okay, here we
does. He's
go.
like, he calls out to her by Yuffie, like he lips that instead of like, Princess Euphemia, Viceroy Euphemia, whatever. Yeah.
Woo. Oh my god, those four holy swords, that squad radiating pure undiluted BD, bro. It was intense. This is
And
pretty
again,
dope.
I love the lines where they're throwing out where it's just like this time, or it feels just like 7 years ago, except this time we have nightmares. And it's like, bro, you're telling me you had a run-in with these guys 7 years ago, you're still alive and you didn't have nightmare frames?
What's going
Did you
on?
guys take down nightmares without nightmares?
So
Were you guys
dope.
running around with huge chain swords? Like what was
Yeah,
going on? There's so many thoughts that like just go rushing through my head when they say those things.
for sure. Love Toto's bit. Love all those characters that are with him. Badasses already, and I'm like, dope. I can find many reasons why they would follow him into the fight, and he would be some sort of leader in this
And that he's
group.
probably the sole reason that this resistance group, the JLF, is still standing to this day.
Sure.
Where even Prince Clovis, upon seeing Zero, thought that he was dealing with somebody of Toto's scale.
hmm We get Cornelia versus Callan. Fuck. Man, this is dope. I loved this. We get a lot of face-offs of just you see Colin's conviction in this fight. You see where she bests Cornelia in some ways. I mean, it's a lot of it has to do with the nightmare for sure,
Sure,
because it's
sure,
a
sure, sure.
brand new one. But in the conviction to fighting and the conviction to changing the world and fighting against the bigger Britannia group, Lancelot coming in and rescuing Cornelia, Colin fighting Lancelot, who almost does best Lancelot as well, which is
Almost.
pretty intense. And I was
Speed
like,
on par. Their speeds on par with each other,
it's just so
and
crazy.
they're left in
Okay.
basically a stalemate.
So now I see that there is a chance. There is some sort of chance because Lancelot, as we know, is Britannia's best nightmare. Now we see Colin's nightmare that got introduced in these couple episodes, and it can stand against it, which is now we have the firepower that matches Zero's energy, bravado, and ability.
And he
So
even says that's the reason that he gives Colin the Mark II instead of taking it for himself. He's like, I'm not an ace pilot. You are. I'm a
mhm.
commander.
at
I tell
first,
everybody what to do.
at first, I thought that he was saying that and doing that because he knows eventually. I don't know if this is too much 3D, 4D chess. I think that he is fine with losing her as a pawn as well. And I thought that he didn't want to take it mostly because he is the background, he is the main player, the person moving the chess pieces. But I also had a hint of, well, I'm not going down, but you know what's his name said before, we're not chess
Yeah.
pieces. I think he's full willing to get rid of Colin if he needs to. And it's kind of sad to say, but I get that from him a little bit. He's fine with losing some people for the greater of it, and
Yeah.
that's why he gave that to her, because he's
Because
fine
to
with losing her.
him, they are mostly just a means of reaching his conditions for whatever that might be. This battle being capture Princess Cornelia.
Mhm. Because I don't see him getting close to any of the Black Knights. Even whenever he is Lelouch, I don't think he's close enough to Colin to be like, if he's gonna either flee or try and save her, I think he'll flee first. So I don't. It could change later on, but I
Yeah.
still think that he put her there on the front line because it's another pawn, and we can always get another Mark two, whatever that is, Gurren Mark two. So that's
Fair
kind of in the
enough.
back of my mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, yeah, those are
Zero
reasonable thoughts to have, honestly, at this point.
Zero faces Suzaku. We get C2 challenging Suzaku, giving him the nightmares, sort of, and Lelouch invades her mind as well. And we get a lot of flashes of stuff. I didn't write down too many notes about this, but we get a lot of flashes of stuff that I can't comprehend because I
Flash
haven't seen
imagery,
this.
shock
Uh,
images,
a lot of people with the same symbol
symbol.
on her head. Um, no spoilers, nobody spoil or anything, but I don't know what she is, and I'm leaning towards some sort of alien or some sort of eternal being that was there before humans, because we've seen this. It's kind of like a trope in anime as well, where it's like, we were here before you and we've been in the ground or something, we are the keepers of this world and y'all just took over somehow, and I'm the last one alive. So I'm leaning towards that, or an alien. um, but the interesting part about it is that they don't let us hear her name. Who cares about a name, really? But the main thing that they didn't let us hear it, now I care about it. Like, why can't you just let us have it? What is that about? Why does that matter? What does that
Why does it
mean?
matter?
Why did we have visions of them when they were younger and she was there as well, but we don't know her name? And she wants him to say it again with love and devotion and no hate.
Well, because he did before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but why did he want it? Why did she want him to say it again?
'Cause that's C2.
Okay, no name could be more.
Oh, wait, why to say it again? Be I well, I mean, it's alluded to that she hasn't had somebody treat her with any sort of compassion or love or care in what must be like a long time. Maybe she's just some sort of, maybe she feels like more of an object that's just been experimented on by all
Sure.
these science research teams for so long that she's felt as though she's so far removed from her humanity that she no longer feels the weight of needing to have a name. So she just blah 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 blah
No name could be more
blah.
interesting than CC. Yeah, for sure. Best name ever. Yeah. So I
That's
wouldn't
cool.
care what her name is. I wouldn't care if he just
But you
whispered
care that it
something.
didn't
But now I
give it
care
to us.
that, yeah, that they didn't give it to me. I'm like, well, I want it now. Like, you're not going to tell me? What's up with that? That sucks. So that's sort of where we leave off on episode 11. So episode 12, what happens? The messenger from Kyoto. What happens?
Britannian leadership is left dumbfounded how Zero managed to pull off what he did at the Narita Mountains. Meanwhile, this has grown the interest of the Kyoto group in the Black Knights. Millie pushes Shirley into confessing her crush to Lelouch, Shirley opting to ask him to go to a concert with her with tickets she received from her father. C2 seems to be speaking to someone that we haven't seen on screen yet, and the leadership roles of the Black Knights question whether or not they can trust Zero after the stunt he pulled. Lelouch promises to Nunnally that his absences are not a result of him changing or growing distant from her. Suzaku ponders the goals of the Black Knights after seeing the aftermath of the avalanche at Narita. Zero and the Black Knights meet with the Kyoto group. However, under gunpoint, they demand Zero reveal his identity. Showing to be 2 steps ahead, Zero is able to turn the tables. However, it turns out the Kyoto leader is an old friend that took in Lelouch and Nunnally after they were exiled. Shirley is taken to confirm the identity of her father, later revealing to Lelouch that his life was lost due to Zero's actions at Narita.
All right. Episode 12. This is the last episode we're going to see. This was sort of a reprieve from what was happening, which is fine. I'm not going to, you know, um because it's an ongoing anime. I'm not going to be like, well, that last episode we watched wasn't super action packed or anything, so I'm going to give it a low score or anything, but like I totally understand that after all the action that happened, we need some story movement and some lesser action to, juxtapose the other two. So I'm totally okay
Kind
with all
of
the story that happened.
after this 12th episode, we kind of again we see the format that will be laid out for the series as we go forward, where there's going to be all these constantly um there's going to be these conflicts that continue to become more complex and more dynamic as they happen, and then we'll see interjected between those all of the character threads that are now like totally being drawn across the board at each other, because you have now like interfaction relationships that are going on, where like you could say that like colin and colin and why am I forgetting his name? Suzaku are kind of now like rival ace pilots in a sense.
Yeah,
And they're still classmates at school. And they don't know that about each other. So it's just like, these developing character threads that continue to hold more weight as the bonds grow, and all of the potential for those bonds being broken because of potential reveals become more and more weighty.
because everybody other than the student council, most of them are leading some sort of double life. I mean, we even see this. I don't know her name. The one in the back, the dark haired girl. She's
Nina,
doing something.
she
She's doing
has
something.
subplot.
Yeah, there's some
There's
subplot
Nina's
going.
subplot.
We don't know what's going on. She's on the computer a lot and she's a little weird. And we don't know where Nanali is all the time, but we see that Kyoto is requesting a meeting with the Black Knights, and the Black Knights are continuing their apprehension of the leadership of Zero, which is going to come to a head at the end of the episode. But Tukadona says, "Oh, I love the scene where the Black Knights meet Kirihara. His VA is also fantastic. His lines are cold as fuck. Are you embarking on the path of blood? Indeed, felt in my toes." um, Rakshada is working with the resistance who's Rakshata? I wrote that down for some reason. But Taizao Kirahawa, I think I said it right, is the guy. Oh, you also said something in your recap. Cece is talking to somebody that
We haven't
we
seen on
don't see on
screen.
screen. I thought she was just
We
talking to
haven't seen
herself.
on screen yet. Well, she's kind of like talking at the air, and then like it shows a flash of somebody that we haven't seen on screen until right then, and then it just moves on.
Oh, I didn't see that. I just saw her looking like
The
when they do the
guy
shot.
with the headphones on that was just like standing on top of a building. It cuts to him right after she says that, and then it
Oh, I
just
must have
cuts
missed
away
that.
again. It's like
I
you
was looking
blink,
at
you miss
her.
it. You blink, you
Oh
miss it.
shit.
Yeah.
So again, something very cool where uh we don't get the
Oh
full
yeah,
picture.
Rakshata is the person that they reference that made the radiant wave surger, and the thing
Oh,
that
okay.
would have been able to create the man-made avalanche. So again, we come to a
Oh.
point where things happen, and then an episode or two later, it gives the context for how something like that was able to come to
Come to be,
happen.
for
Yeah.
sure. Um in another instance where we don't see the full picture and we're getting shown it as it happens, that C2 uh, has switched with Zero as they've done before, which is classic Zero now. And we get that full epic scene there where Zero has, you know, outsmarted them again, somebody, and he is just one step ahead. He's there, ready to take over and become the powerhouse here, which is really interesting. The headquarters of Kyoto on Mount Fuji. There were some interesting talks about how it once was like the pinnacle of their culture, and then now it's taking over by this. But this person Taizao Kirahawa uh, is one of the six heads of Kyoto. We find that information that there are six heads of Kyoto who is supplying this stuff to the resistance. He's a traitor to the 11s in their eyes, but he heads the resistance really, because he provides all them their stuff. And we find out that they have some sort of connection, that Kyoto will assist Zero, and it kind of quells the apprehension of the Black Knights and says, "Hey, he's good, he's chill, this guy's good." The seed that was planted that long ago has now
Has
been
now
sowed.
bloomed.
Yeah, has now bloomed, and I'm like, "Yo, what's this?" So we get another ally. Um, I thought that at first Zero wanted to take over Kyoto for the power. But I think whenever he saw who it was, he was like, "Oh, okay, I can use this."
Um, Earlier in the thing, in the episode when he's like at one point he's going through a bunch of like profiles on his computer, and it
Yeah.
actually shows Kirihara there really quick,
Hmm.
um, for just a second before like another like name card flashes above his. So it was different, definitely um shown just for a little bit of a
Sure.
visual Easter egg.
Definitely. So we get the whole other subplot of them going to the play or the musical, and we figure out that, what's her name? The girl. I don't know the student council's name.
Surely.
Surely, her father was suffocated under rubble, and it was because of Zero and his actions, and he has to, I don't know, figure out the emotions within himself, because he did that, and now she resents Zero and all of that, the stuff that's happening in the world. Cool, fine episode to end on. I know it goes forward. I know there's more story. It wasn't super definite like we've done with other animes, but this is fine enough, and I get the gist of what's happening in the story. We got to rate this anime. We got to pick a brand new anime. So, where do you rate Code Geass? Again, this is not your first time watching. So, where do you rate Code Geass 1 through 12 on animation?
Animation, I'm giving it an A. Even though it was a bit of a, it's got some age on it. Everything still looks really good, and I have a really hard time finding any flaws with the action. Um, like the action looks good when things are happening. The mechs look super nimble, and everybody's character designs are very visually appealing.
Yeah.
I really enjoy just the universe that they've created for this show to happen, and everything feels very stylistic. And like you said before, it's that like aesthetics of seeing like the Y2K combined with what we thought the future was going to look like.
Sure.
Even in this last episode, as they're having their meeting, they have those huge bulky laptops out. So yeah, I'm giving it an A for animation.
Okay.
Where would you rate it for animation?
Animation was an S for me. I like this old style and it still looks good. I mean, it was good. It was in 1080p or 720 or whatever. Shout out to other anime we've seen that was like 480. But it looked good. I do particularly like the style, like the more shojo faces where I mean, you can probably do a connection between this and some faces like this in Sailor Moon. Not so much, but the bigger eyes, the more expressive face. I really like that style on these main characters, and it gives them a lot of life. So it's not like it was the best animated. It's personal preference for
Mhm,
me, and I think because it wasn't old, like it didn't look old, like it looked like it came out a couple years ago.
mhm.
This animation is probably some of my favorites. So I really like it, and that's just personal preference. I know it's
Yeah,
not the best, but I do enjoy the way it looked, the way the mechs moved. Not as detailed as any other animes, but I do like this style. So I did give it an S. Duke of Donuts says casualties of war are one thing. Lelouch had long since prepared himself for that, even for meeting his own end, but to face people who he cares about, who are facing the loss and consequences of his actions despite his best effort to separate his two lives, beautiful and tragic. And I do want to keep, watch and see how he contemplates that,
yeah,
how he
and
takes that in.
that's exactly the, kind of what I was getting to without trying to, like, spoil stuff when I say, like, the school stuff feels a bit meandering at times, but it is there to add a different layer and a
Yeah,
different, like, context to the juxtaposition of seeing the horrors of war versus the peace times that people are trying the peaceful times people are trying to have while it's
because
going on.
yeah, and because his two lives are merging. They merge here. They merge here now.
This
Like
is the intersection.
these are literally the consequences of your actions here. And they're messing up the Lelouch side with the zero side. Storytelling. Where would you rate storytelling for this anime?
Storytelling, I'm giving it an S. I This is the most probably subjective S that I've given in the storytelling category so
Okay,
far, like to be completely uh transparent, but I do just completely enjoy the way that this show lays out information for you to kind of thread together and put it together at your own pace. But meanwhile, the pacing of different factions and the different people that are in said factions all feeling like they have their own ideals and personality traits that are completely different from the people around them, down to tendencies like people like itching their launch button on their nightmare as they're waiting to be sent into battle, like because
sure.
of their eagerness. Like you just get to see personality um from the wordless storytelling in the show at every time. And I feel like no matter what's going on, the show's constantly feeding you a bit of information that can be used to further build out the world, the characters, or the story. Um, so it's a lot, and that's not going to be good for everybody. And I
Sure.
completely understand that. But for me, again, it's exactly what I really think. It pushes the it pushes as much in the bag of an episode as it can. Every episode, it's like I never feel like, well, nothing really happened. So he's like, there's so many things that just happened.
Hmm.
So,
And yeah,
oh,
and
sorry.
that's why I would give it storytelling an A, because I it felt like so much, and it felt like it was just attacking me. A is still good. I'm still really enjoying the story, but sometimes it was just a lot, and it felt like a lot. And to the more casual anime viewer, I don't think it would be super great.
Yes.
For the more anime casual watcher, I do see that there are parts where, the mechs are cool, the fighting's awesome. There's some cool characters you can attach to, but on the overall, it was just a lot. So I'm only giving it an A, but I did really enjoy it, and it was sometimes too much. And I was like,
Sure.
okay. mm,
The reason I give it an S instead of an A, meaning a recommend no matter what, versus like a recommend if you're a fan of the genre, I would recommend it no matter what in its storytelling category, only because if you watch it, you're gonna know whether or not you like something this dense. Um, and I'm not saying it's an S because I think you'll like it, but I think it's an S in terms of dense, like shows that are this dense. Like this is really an example of how to do it well.
mhm, sure.
So that's kind of, I guess, where I'm at on that line.
Okay. Where would you put it on vibes?
Vibes, for like almost the same reason, and again, this might be the most subjective vibes S that I've given, even though, vibes being subjective already, it's gonna be an S for me for vibes.
Okay.
And that just goes with the aesthetics of the show, like we were talking about, the futuristic feel, but everything still feels super industrial and grounded. It's not like spacer tech. It feels like a proper like war meets technology in this cool mech arms race anime. But at
Mhm,
the same time, you have all these dramatic storylines going on the side that are comedic and dramatic and tragic, and it's got a bunch of different emotional roller coaster moments where like even though again I've seen the show before and I know what's going to happen, I still find myself like at certain lines and certain moments just like wanting to just jump out of my seat because I'm full of excitement at what's happening. Like like Colin using the arm to decimate Jeremiah's Sutherland and stuff
sure.
like that, where it's just incredible moments to me that just this show feels like the writers in the writers room went, all right, what's the most exciting or dramatic thing that could happen right now in this scene, and then let's do that for every scene. To
Mhm,
me, that's what it feels like, so
sure.
that's why I'm going to give it an S.
Okay.
Where
Um,
would you rank it on vibes?
I give it an A, which is good. I did enjoy it, but I agree with you where there are a lot of those highs where there's a lot of moments that are happening, like the what I was talking about, Lelouch. I really enjoy Lelouch's character. I think Lelouch's character more as Zero, of course, than him being Lelouch. I like that character way more than anything else. I like his character um, as the high point of the anime, and is definitely what I'm looking to when I, decide if I want to recommend this anime. Like this has a great main character or main foe, however you want to look at him,
Mhm.
and this person that we follow along in this story. I really enjoy this. There are some moments, like you're saying, where they're great, but some of it is just, like I said, it's a little too much going on, and that's just me not I don't know. I mean, I'm a fan of more complex anime, and I'm a fan of like war stuff, and I can comprehend the whole idea of Britannia versus the 11s and all that stuff. It's just um I don't know, kind of a lot. And in the beginning episodes, we had a lot of school stuff, and a lot of the cool stuff was um, not as prevalent as I would like in the beginning episodes. And so it's just an A. I don't know if I completely love it. Like I'm fine with watching it more, but uh, I don't know if I love it. So that's why I'm giving mostly these are A's, because I'm not overwhelming like, I got to watch the next episode. I'm just like, okay, here's the story now, and I could pick it up later if I want. And I don't know what it is. I can't pinpoint it, because I did think about it this week. I'm like, why am I not completely in love with it like the other animes I put on S last season? And I don't know. I'm okay with the story, and I do want to know what's happening. I do want to know how it shakes out. But if I don't, I'm okay with it. And it's like, that's kind of how I felt with at the end of Trigun, but I was like, "Oh my god, that was great." But this one I'm just like, "Okay, that's fine. That's cool. I really enjoy these parts." And I can say I went through the whole I felt Lelouch. I loved that character. But I'm fine without seeing him anymore. And that's kind of an odd place I'm in. Claire says, I'm fine with complex. I'm fine with telling a story from multiple perspectives, but I was quite quickly bored waiting for that to unfold between the rest. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of other stuff that could be interesting. I mean, like the whole mini arc of the Black Knights not feeling super comfortable with Zero, um, and other little stories with Callan's mom, all that other stuff. So there are little stories going in there, but if you don't find them interesting, then it is difficult to continue. The Duke of Donuts says it's definitely a lot to digest. I had to rewind while watching Code Geass Aikido, The Exiled OVAs quite a few times to check in and get details again. So we've rated this anime, and you have rated this anime as well because we post a link to vote. So you got our thoughts, you got Matt's, mine, and we got your thoughts. So the combined score of everybody for Code Geass, where do we rank it on our rankings for season 2? It's an S. Code Geass is ranked S. I did have to crunch the numbers because
Number cruncher.
there was some A's and things like that. So I did have to crunch the numbers on where it was, but it did come out to being an S ranked anime because we are not voting separately now in season 2. We are voting together. So all together, it is a S ranked anime. I cannot complain about it. It's an S ranked stamp for the Jules Anime Hour. I think the core issue was consistency for me. If I am watching something dense, it needs to keep my attention the entire time. Um, sorry, Duke of Donuts, we do not have audio. Oh man, I gotta take those off when I stream on this.
Oh,
That you
like
gave out some what are they called? Channel points. I'm sorry that we don't have those on the regular ones. That's my fault. Hello, Andre. Hello, over on YouTube. Hello, welcome. We are also streaming on YouTube. Appreciate you coming by. Thank you so much. And thank you, Cosmo. The lights are going off over here on Twitch. Cosmo, thank you so much for the 33 months. Appreciate it. 33 months of shaking it. Thank you, Cosmo. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. So, with that being said, it is a S ranked anime. Code Geass is ranked S. And here it is on the board for season 2. There we go. These are the animes we've watched already in season 2. And Code Geass is S ranked, the only S ranked anime so far. So there it is.
filling
and
up
now
the board.
we're filling up the board, season 2 already. So it feels like we just started, but we've already done so many episodes.
Yep.
It's insane. It's crazy. So now we get to pick a brand new anime to watch together. If this is your first time watching the Anime Hour, we talk about anime here and we go through it a few episodes at a time and you watch it along with us. So next week we're going to watch the first 4 episodes of one of these anime here. So one of these anime is going to be picked out of the chest, and that's going to be our personality for a while. So we're going to watch the first 12 episodes total, and we watch 4 episodes a week, and you get to watch them along. If you've never seen the anime, that's okay. Mostly we haven't seen them either. So the next anime that we're going to be watching is
Tower of God.
Tower of God.
Tower
Okay.
of God.
I've heard a lot about this anime. Oh, there's also a Tower of God mobile game that I wanted to get into. It's kind of like a gacha game as well. But I haven't watched the anime, so I haven't played it. So we're going to be watching Tower of God. What?
I haven't watched this one at all.
Oh, you haven't?
Nope,
Okay,
nope.
cool. So it's a new one for Matt as well. So Tower of God, episode 1 through 4. Watch that before next week. Watch Tower of God, episode 1 through 4, before next week, and we are going to be talking about it here. And we love to hear your thoughts. If this is your first time watching the anime, if you're like, I don't know if I want to watch it, we have to watch it. So we would love for you to watch it with us. And
Watch it with
it's a
us.
lot. It's a lot more fun
Only
if
4
you.
episodes a week.
Yeah, it's only 4 episodes a week. Thank you, Andre. Yes, watch episode 1 through 4 of Tower of God. And I think we're going to be streaming this on YouTube as well from now on because this went pretty well. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And the full episodes, if you haven't seen them, will be up on my YouTube on Fridays. So if you miss any of this episode, it'll be up on Friday and all that stuff. So appreciate everybody in the live chats. And Matt Galley, where can they find you when you're not in a nightmare?
You can find me on my Twitch at Matt_Galley or on my socials, just add an ITS at the front at ITS Matt_Galley. When we're not here, where can the people find you?
You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/JulesTheHuman, twitch.tv/JulesTheHuman, JULES, the human on all social media, Instagram. I was trying to find the X logo, but I couldn't find it. So I just used the old school Twitter. You know what I mean. Find me on Twitter. I'm there. Join the Discord. The Discord's in the links on everything. My little Stream Deck bot is not working right now, so I can't put up any links or anything, but you know where the Discord is. It's a link somewhere. Join the Discord. Let's talk about the anime Tower of God before next week. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you want to talk about anything, just join the Discord. And 1 through 4 of Tower of God. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye. Oh.